again, and congratulations, you've now completed the 7th module of our drug decriminalization e-course. I hope that this, like the other modules included in this course, have been useful as you consider how best to advocate for a decriminalization model that works in your particular context. In this module, we have presented the essential components of our gold standard of decriminalization, a model which would contribute to an environment in which the human rights of people who use drugs are respected and protected without fear of stigma or punishment, and that facilitates voluntary access to a range of health and social services. A successful decriminalization model will also need to address and redress the devastating consequences of the war on drugs on the lives of affected communities. For example, with expungement of criminal records, with reparations initiatives for victims of violence, intimidation and human rights violations, and with investments in marginalized communities. This means that decriminalization should go hand in hand with policies and measures that seek to address the downstream consequences of criminalization, and that includes housing support, adequate access to voluntary and gender-sensitive social and health services, respect for parental rights, among many, many other issues. We've also seen in this module that promoting solidarity and cooperation across different social justice movements is really important to garner support for decriminalization more broadly. Many of the compelling arguments to decriminalize people who use drugs can also be applied to other repressed groups, such as sex workers, men who have sex with men, and people living with HIV, for example. And many people who are marginalized find themselves in this situation not only because they use drugs, but because of a combination of intersecting factors, which include poverty, race, sexual orientation and gender identity, or sex work, among many other issues. And they all need to be addressed. The final point that we want to make here is that even the gold standard of decriminalization will only truly work when there is a conducive and supportive environment and various enabling factors are in place. These include, for example, reducing the stigma and discrimination associated with drug use, including challenging the media narratives on people who use drugs and drug policies more generally. They also include mechanisms that promote and uphold gender equity, social inclusion, and racial justice. And working in solidarity with and listening to other movements can be a first step towards building these mechanisms across the board. If you are completing this as your final module of the e-course, we wish you all the best in your advocacy efforts towards more humane and just drug policies. And we wanted to thank you for all the work that you're doing and your dedication. Advocacy takes time, it can sometimes get very frustrating, but by continuing to work together towards decriminalization and other meaningful drug policy reforms, we can make progress. Please also stay connected with IDPC for any future opportunities and resources on this topic as they become available. And as always, don't hesitate to get in touch if you need help or support. And please also share your feedback on this module by completing our final survey. You'll then receive your certificate of completion for Module 7. Thank you so much once again.